What's up guys, Asian here again with another dungeon guide video. This time we're going to be going over Vet ICP. To access this dungeon you're going to need to have access to the Imperial City DLC or have an active ESO Plus subscription. This is a DLC dungeon, so this is much harder than most of the other non-DLC dungeons. So before you get started with this dungeon, especially if you want to do hard mode, I would recommend making sure your group DPS is at least 30k. Each DPS should be able to pull 15k individually as their DPS parse. And just make sure that your tank and healer both know what they're doing, are comfortable in their roles. This is not a dungeon to be taken lightly. This dungeon, the bosses here have a lot more involved mechanics versus non-DLC dungeons. Just like our other guide videos, we're going to be skipping over all the trash mob fights unless there is something I feel I need to mention. And once we explain the boss mechanics for each fight, we're going to be going ahead and skip over the rest of the boss fights. One thing that I do recommend for Vet ICP, this is a very long dungeon, so do keep that in mind when you start this dungeon. The speed run is 45 minutes, so that'll give you an idea of just how long this dungeon actually is. So we're going to be coming up to the first boss here. Once you kill this first group, group of ads right here, you'll be up against the first boss, which is the Overfiend. There used to be a cheese method where you could go into the corners right in front of that cage door, but they patched that so he will reset if you are outside the room. So now this is the new method to cheese him. DPS and healers are going to kind of stand in that corner. Tank is going to taunt and bring the boss over there to that corner right there, where the DPS will be able to burn him down. Make sure to face the boss away from the group. He has a frontal cleave attack. Throughout the fight you can see these ads are going to spawn, and this is why we're fighting them in the corner here. This will basically funnel the ads, allow your DPS to AoE them down. He has a heavy attack that you need to block, and an interruptible channeled attack that can stun your teammates if they get hit by it. So if you see red circles on the ground like a donut, make sure to interrupt the Overfiend. It's a fairly quick and easy fight. If your DPS is high, you shouldn't have any problems. This cheese method also stops the harvester from spawning and attacking you, which will make things a lot easier. Starting from here on out, you're going to see Flesh Atronach ads right there. They have an enrage timer of about 1 minute. If you take longer than 1 minute to kill them, they'll start glowing red, become enraged, and basically one-shot everybody, including the tank. So your priority targets is going to be the Flesh Atronach if they are there. We're going to go ahead and skip past the rest of these traps. Okay, and keep on going here. Remember to take out that Flesh Atronach when it gets to you. When you come to this area, just jump down the hole. Don't have to fight the mobs. Kill the Flesh Atro. Moving on. And here we're going to see another mob that you're going to have to watch out for. These are the Watchers. When they see you, they will spawn additional ads, as you see there. You can avoid them. They follow set paths, and if you sit there long enough and observe them, you can actually completely avoid setting off the Watchers and avoiding the trash pulls. There is an achievement associated with that, so do keep that in mind when you are running through the dungeon. It is going to take some planning in order to get that achievement. This is the next boss here, the Flesh Sculptor. Gonna want to taunt him, keep him close to the pool, because a Flesh Atronach will spawn almost immediately after you start the fight. At a certain health interval, he will become invincible and go towards the center of the pool. At this point here, there's going to be green pustules, like you see there, flesh grenades around the pool, and you see that there are ads that are moving towards the center of the pool. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to use a synergy on the flesh grenades and basically throw them so that they hit the ads before they get to the pool. On Vet, you're going to have a couple of Khajiit sprinters. Those are really hard to hit. You can hit them, but don't bother trying to hit them. Once a certain number of ads make it into the pool, they will spawn a Flesh Atronach. If a Flesh Atronach does happen to spawn, it has the exact same mechanic as the Atronachs in the throughout the dungeon. They have an enrage timer. However, you can use a Flesh Grenade to reset the timer. So if you throw a Flesh Grenade at them, not only will it do some damage, but it'll reset that 1 minute timer. So you can see here we had a Flesh Atronach that spawned while he was invincible. So the DPS and the healer are trying to take care of the ads. And so in the meantime, I'm basically trying to keep him under the enrage timer by throwing flash grenades at him. Boss himself has 2 moves to watch out for. He has a very, very large frontal cleave move where he'll target one random player with a conal AoE attack. And his second move is he will pick one random player and tenderize them. The player who's targeted can't move. Somebody else in the party needs to interrupt the boss when he does his tenderize move. He also does a poison dot on one random person, but it's not something that you necessarily need to worry about. The dot itself is not very damaging. He will go into the center 3 times. You can burn him past the second time if your DPS is high enough, but most likely you're going to need to play out the third invincibility phase. So that's it for that boss. We're going to go ahead and skip through the rest of this trash mob pulls. Moving on ahead here past these trash mobs. This section here we're going to be introduced to another new trash mob, the Harvester. The Harvester is also a priority target. She has one move in particular that is very, very damaging. Basically what it is there's going to be a fireball. It creates an AoE around each individual player's feet, and it's just going to bounce around from player to player. It does a lot of damage, so you're going to want to kill that Harvester right away. Save your ultimates for that Harvester. You can skip around a good portion of the mobs here. You can skip 2 pulls by going around that way. And from here you have a Flesh Atronach pull, and then later on you have to deal with a Watcher as well as a Harvester pull. Gonna go ahead and skip past these trash mob pulls to get to the next boss. Moving on ahead past these trash mob pulls. That's the Watcher. There's the Harvester. Continue on down. Another Watcher. Pull them into this hallway here, make the funnel the ads. And here we got the next boss. This is a Watcher with 5 Necromancers. Make sure everybody walks through the gate at the same time. Otherwise, you might get locked out. Watcher himself has pretty standard Watcher moves, the I-beams and things like that. He also has a very large red AoE that he creates that'll knock you back if you're within it. The poison pools obviously is bad to step in, so when you get knocked into it, you're going to need a dodge roll or sprint over. The Necromancers will try to summon skeletons throughout the fight. When they do that, you'll see there, you can interrupt them and stop them from summoning the skeleton. And throughout the fight, you have those red AoE circles. Basically, the poison pool is going to spit out poison balls at you. If you get hit by one of those AoEs and you're not blocking, you will be stunned. When you kill all the Necromancers, the boss will enrage and get a little bit more damage, and the poison balls will start falling at a greater frequency. So generally what you have to do is tank will tank the Watcher over by one side, while the DPS kill the Necromancers. Once the Necromancers are dead, they can focus DPS back on the boss. There you have it. Watcher is dead. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the next trash pull. We're not going to skip this next pull because we're going to be seeing a new mob that is also a priority target almost immediately after this pull. After the boss, you're going to come up here, kill these ads. And once you kill these ads, going to continue on your path to the next boss, and you will see a new trash mob that is potentially even more dangerous than the Harvester and Flesh Atronachs. Here we go. This is the new trash mob, the Necrotic Horrors. You see there they will drop a poison AoE on whoever they are targeting. These poison AoEs will not disappear as long as the Horror is alive, and they will stack on top of each other. They will throw it down on whoever they're targeting at the time. So when you have two Horrors like this, you can see here the poison circles start stacking up very quickly and will deal a lot of damage. The red circles will disappear, however, once the Horror dies. So here's another Harvester pull, and then the next trash mob pull is going to have a Harvester and two Horrors. So we're going to go ahead and skip to the next boss here. Move it on. This is the Horror and Harvester trash pull. Just bring everything to the Harvester and ulti them down. And this is the next boss here. Flesh Abomination. Comes with two Horror adds. DPS need to burn those Horrors down immediately. He does have frontal cleave, so tank needs to face them away from the group, and DPS, while you're kiting those Horrors around, you need to make sure you're not standing in front of the boss or behind the tank, because you will get cleaved and it is going to hurt. Flesh Atronach has two moves to watch out for. We only see one of them in this fight, but I will explain the second move. So besides those hits, this is the first move here. He's going to summon 4 Horrors. Each of them have red AoE circles around them, and they'll explode. If you're caught in overlapping circles, it's definitely going to kill you. Getting caught in one will not kill you, it'll just deal some pretty bad damage. The other move that we didn't get to see in this fight, he will slam both hands down into the ground and basically create circles over everybody in the group. When that happens, you need to spread out, make sure the circles are not overlapping or you're not stepping in somebody else's circle. Otherwise you will die. Circles will explode, everybody will take damage, and then a poison donut will form around a player. You cannot pass through that donut, not even dodge rolling through it. That player that's inside will have to deal with some zombie adds that spawn. The boss himself won't actually do anything during this phase. There will be red poison circles that pop up on random players that will explode. Just have to avoid those. And that's the second move. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it in this fight because we burned down the boss too fast. This set of trash mob pulls, you're going to have to watch out for the traps there. They'll do some minor damage and snare you. Once you kill the adds here, all the zombies and skeletons will despawn. You can pull the lever to open the gate. This is going to be the hardest trash pulls. You have a Flesh Atronach, 2 Necrotic Horrors, and a Harvester. If you have a Destro ulti, now is a great time to use it. Tank is going to taunt the Flesh Atro and the Horrors and basically bring them over to the Harvester. You can see there, Destro ulti is out. And hopefully that will burn down everything, and you won't have to worry about the Flesh Atronach enraging. You won't have to worry about the Harvester's traveling fireball, and the Horrors' red AoEs will hopefully disappear. And again, once you kill the initial adds, those zombies will disappear. Watch out for the traps, they damage and snare. Once you kill them, you can hit those 2 levers at about the same time to open up the door and move on to the next boss. This is the next boss here. You're facing off against 4 bosses, a Nightblade, a Sword and Shield, a Templar, and a Necromancer. Start things off, Tank is going to taunt the 2 melee adds and bring them over to the Necromancer, group them up so you can kill them. DPS, Necromancer is going to be your priority target, and you'll see why in just a few seconds. None of them really have any sort of dangerous moves. They have your standard moves, Nightblade, Dragon Knight, Necromancer, and Templar. You can see there the Necromancer started to run over. He's going to run to a spot in the room. It's kind of random where he goes, and he's going to spawn a totem. That totem will decrease the damage that all 4 of these bosses take. So you're going to want to take out that totem before you burn down the rest of the bosses. When the boss dies, they will spawn a shadow of themselves, which basically will do the exact same moves that they did when they were alive, and when you kill the final one of them, the shadows will disappear. Pulling both levers at the same time will open the gate, and you can move on to the final boss, Lord Warden. You have 2 Daedrats here. If you need to generate ultimate, use these Daedrats to get your ultimate back up. And once you are satisfied, you can kill them and move on to the final boss. Lord Warden has a lot of movement here. If you are a melee class, you're going to have a rough time just because you're going to be moving around a lot. Boss himself will teleport around. There's a lot of moving around through the mechanics, so this is not a fun fight as a melee character. I'm going to activate hard mode by burning the book. Boss won't spawn until you start approaching the center of the arena, so take this time to kind of compose yourself. There he is, he's going to spawn. Hard mode differs from normal vet due to the fact that there's going to be meteors that fall throughout the arena. These meteors will stun you if you're not blocking. If you do get hit by them, you need to use break free to get out of, in order to free yourself from that stun. Going to start to pull in a few seconds here. Believe something came up that I had to deal with, so I was AFK for a little bit. Gonna go ahead and skip past my AFK. And gonna start the fight here. Starting off with the range shot, you can see there the meteor is already falling from the hard mode. First thing you're gonna want to do is gonna want to lead him towards the edge of the arena. He's gonna summon one of the purple orbs, and it's going to go towards one random player. You can see there when you're close to that orb, it'll chain you and slow you down. It's also gonna summon portals. Going to want to stay away from the portals. There will be a time when you're going to want to step into them, but until that time comes, you're going to want to stay away and out of those portals. When he charges his gun up like that, it's basically, he's going to shoot out basically a Gatling gun at one random player. You're going to want to put the tank between the Lord Warden and the player being targeted. The tank is basically going to block and you absorb magicka the whole time. At 66%, he's going to split into 4 copies. Only 2 copies can be attacked, the other 2 will not be able to be damaged at all. Basically what the tank is going to do is you're going to taunt all 4 and basically stand in the center and use absorb magic to basically keep yourself alive during this whole time. DPS, you're going to find whichever copy you can attack and you're going to DPS it down. This whole time, meteors are going to continue to fall down, and the longer this phase lasts, the more meteors are going to fall, and more frequently they're going to fall. So, once the last shade is dead, he will spawn in the middle. When this happens, be ready to get into a portal here. Going to use his Gatling gun here. See there, you're going to want to get with between him and whoever he's targeting. When he flies in the sky like that, that's when you want to jump into the portals. Each portal can hold 2 people and only 2 people. Once 2 people jump in, it'll disappear. Once you start falling, hit the synergy button X to brace for impact, otherwise you will die from the fall damage. On hard mode, if there is another portal up and you happen to land on top of that portal or step into it while your screen is glowing, it'll activate something called portal feedback. Basically what that does is it's an insta-kill on you. So if somebody does happen to accidentally fall into one of the portals, you need to call it out immediately, and somebody else, preferably one of the DPS, will have to fall into that portal in order to reset it. Once that portal disappears, he will normally resummon another portal within 5 to 10 seconds. Normally it's right away after you drop down, he will summon another portal. You want to make sure there's at least 2 portals up at all times for that Spirit Bomb move. You can see there, You can't, even if you are dodge rolling and then you are still within that meteor, you will still get stunned. Gonna want to dance around the portals there. Gotta watch out for those orbs for that chain. He splits again. This second split happens at 30% health. And he will reappear again in the middle. Again, I want to take him around the edges so that the way the orbs are around the edges, leaving you free. You don't have to worry about the orbs when you drop down after the portal phase. Gonna use his gun here again. Tank needs to put himself between the boss and whoever he's targeting. This is portals. Gonna run to the portals. If you do happen to fall into the portal with less than 50% health, you are going to die from the fall damage, so do keep that in mind. Make sure to tell your teammates if you are going to die. Healer is going to need to have big heals ready for when you land, because it will deal approximately 50% health damage. And there you have it. That's Veteran Imperial City Prison on hard mode. Boss doesn't drop anything. A chest will spawn. You will get your drops from that chest. So that's it for this video. I hope this guide helps, and I'll see you guys in the next dungeon.